my partner's elbow on my hip. Now when she goes to move from here, it's a very difficult thing to do. And now we can start going in and start going into mounted situations. That's the first way to isolate our partner's arm, okay? The second way to isolate our partner's arm, again, I showed in the side control, is by using a pass-off method. A lot of times what happens is, she has the inside elbow position, I go to raise my hips up and take my left knee inside, and I see for whatever reason her elbow's too tight to access. Here, you say, I just can't get my left knee in position. Whenever I see that, I use my right knee instead, okay? Because my right knee is closer to her center line and has an easier time coming inside the elbow than my left outside knee does. So from here, when she goes to keep that elbow tight, I just raise the hips, I turn my right hip down. If my right hip is turned up, she just brings her knee in, and now this is no good for me. So I always turn my right hip down, so when she goes to bring that knee in, it's not an easy thing. Now I just lean forwards, my knee comes to center line, and I just slide it out and over my partner's bicep like so. Now, as she goes to free that arm, I just take my knees together, I make a pass off, then I shin pin, and now when she goes to start bridging and bringing that elbow free, we go in and we shelf it up on the hip, and we're ready to isolate that knee off, okay? If you want to mount your partner, you have to understand something. You need to isolate, assuming you have a top head and arm, okay? You need to isolate your partner's near side arm, okay? You need to shelf it on the hip. The reason for this is because if you don't, you try to mount your partner, and she has this elbow inside, the second I raise my hips to go to put my shin on my shin across my partner's hips, if your partner's good at playing a side guard, every single time you go to do this, side guard comes in, okay? Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If her elbow's inside and her knee's on my hip where it should be, and I go to raise my hips, even if I just try to go quick and have good knee position and get my knee inside, side guard will always come in, okay? If you have your partner's arm isolated up on your hip, now she has no ability to connect the knee and the elbow. So now I can have all the time in the world. When she goes to stop me from bringing the knee up to the belly, it's a very easy thing to get my shin across, okay? So the first thing we have to look for when we're trying to mount our partner is to negate her ability to play side guard. And we spent a lot of time on this again. To play the side guard position, where her knee and her elbow connect, and her leg and her arm form this V shape here, okay? And one of the best ways we can do this is by isolating our partner's near arm. And here we have two very good ways of doing this. We can either the first thing we can do is we can use that old school shitty method where we just go here and we isolate the arm. That'll never really work on anybody above blue belt level. Or here and use the same pass-off method. Okay, a much more reliable method against very good, very talented, disciplined people is by coming up, one, and using a shin pin with my left leg, or if I feel the elbow so close to the body where I feel like the left knee just can't come in, we make a pass off. And now from here, if she stays here, she's in a dilemma. If she stays here, there's submissions. I come forward, I start stepping over and going in and locking into submissions, okay? Now there's no turning back. When she goes to free that arm, she can't, the knee's on the floor. Now she gets put in all these triangle situations we looked at previously. So what she has to start doing is doing everything she can to free that arm. Good? And now from here, we shelf it up on the hip and we're ready to go in, okay? And now we can start going in, start mounting our partner from these situations. So two excellent ways of isolating our partner's near side arm, using either the top leg or using a pass-off method over the bicep with the shin to pass from the right bottom leg to the top left leg. All right, so now we're gonna look at a bunch of different ways to mount from side control, different upper body grips. Right now we're looking at a top, head, and arm. Okay, your traditional, I pass, I'm in side control, mounting from here. All right, most of these mounts that we're gonna look at, whether it's from a top, head, and arm, whether it's from an over-under, whether it's from double underhooks, we're going to look to use a shin mount to mount our partner. The only one we're not going to use a shin mount is when we have a reverse underhook, and we'll look at that later. All right, but why is a shin mount so important? Okay, the shin mount is when, and we've all seen this used. A shin mount is when I isolate my partner's arms, and from here I take my shin up to my partner's hips like so. So that from here, when I slide across to my partner's far side and my knee hits the floor, I have my partner basically mounted, but I have my shin across. So now from here, when she goes to trap my leg, it's a very difficult thing. All right? This is going to be super, super important. What I don't want is to just come in like so, and then I can step over my partner's body. Okay? Number one, if I go to step over my partner's body, my hip comes up so high that if a strong person bridges, I can get off balance from here. Okay, it won't always happen, but it can happen. Number two, if I just try to step up and over, there's no reason why she can't just intercept my leg and lock it in between hers, and now I'm back into half guard. Okay, so remember, I initially catch my partner's elbow up on my hip like so. From here, I'm going to look to go in, and I'm going to look to slide my shin up and over my partner's hips like so. So that now from here, I just slide my my knee across, and I just put my shoelaces on my partner's near side hip. So now when she goes to trap my leg and move around, it's a very difficult thing. What I don't do is have a relaxed leg. So she can open up her leg, trap my ankle, and put me back in a 3/4 mount. I keep my shoelaces here, right below the hip. So when she goes to open up that leg, it's a very difficult thing, okay? And from here is where we're going to be doing all of our mounted situations from. Where now we can work from going from a shin mount to a true mount without our partner reaching over right away, hooking on the ankle, and pulling us back in, okay? So, just the introduction to the shin mount is the second we get in like so, we're going to immediately look to put our leg up. Our forehead comes down towards the floor, like so. And now from here, we're going to slide our shin up and over our partner's hips like so. Now, I move to this position, and I just hang out. When my partner from here goes to freak out and put me back in half guard and things like that, it's a very difficult thing. And now we'll look at ways to go from a shin mount into an actual mount without giving up a 3/4 guard or having our partner recover or bridge us off. Okay, so most of what we're going to be doing, going from side control into a mount, we'll go side control, the intermediary step, which is shin mount, and then to a full mounted position. All right, so now we're going to look at how we can actually mount our partner, just a very basic side control to mount. All right, then we're going to look at how to defend your partner explosively bridging after we do mount. Okay, so my partner's going to be down in front of me, and we're going to look at how to mount initially and counter my partner trying to trap an ankle. Your partner basically has two methods of escaping here, okay? She can try to reach over and grab the ankle when you mount, or she can explosively bridge and then try to recover as you mount, okay? So as we spoke about in the previous instructional, the intermediary steps are where I'm not as stable, all right? I'm very stable in side control, I'm very stable in mount, but the transition between side control and mount is where you get lost a lot of times, okay? So if you look at any high-level competition or even any low-level competition, high-level guys will time the intermediary steps so that before you actually establish mount, they'll hit an explosive bridge and hope to escape, okay? This is smart because the intermediary steps are where you're not as stable. So there are two basic ways of escaping from here. Is one, I step over, I go to mount, and she reaches over and tries to trap my ankle, and then from here she uses her hand to push my knee down and tries to cover back to a half guard, okay? Two, as I step over, and now she just gives a strong bridge in one direction. If she traps my elbow down, she can get me severely off balance or even take me over, okay? So we're going to look at first how to just mount in a basic way. My partner tries to trap my leg back into a half guard, okay? So we have the elbow up and isolated like so. Okay. Now from here, we're going to look to lean forwards, and we're going to take our shin up to our partner's hips. Now, it's very important what I'm about to mention here. When I go shin to hips, the goal is not to put my weight on my partner's hips. The more weight my partner has on her hips, the easier it is for her to move me when she bridges. So if I go here and I put all of my weight down on my partner's hips and she gives an explosive bridge, she's going to move me pretty easily from here. So my shin, the purpose of my shin pinning her hips down is not to put weight on the hips. It's just to control her legs and keeping my foot safe from being trapped within her legs. Okay? So when I put my shin across like so, I actually lean my weight towards my partner's head. So now when she goes to give a big bridge, you see, I just relax my leg. If I'm leaning towards the hips, she goes to bridge, now I get severely off balance from here. So I just play a game where I just hover over my partner's hips with my shin. When she goes to bridge, move around, go ahead. She finds she's not carrying any of my body weight. Now from here, we go in and we drive the knee across. Now, presumably she'll be freaking out from here, trying to move around and do escapes, all of those things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the right elbow. This will make it hard for my partner's hand to access my knee. The further my right elbow is towards my partner's shoulder line, the better. Okay? This will both prevent my partner from accessing my knee and from bridging me over in the clip we're about to look at. Now, the second my foot hits the floor, it's imperative that my foot lands above the hip line. If my foot hits the floor, like so, and my foot's below the hip, and my knee's down towards the hips, she can reach over with her leg. She can pull me into a 3/4 guard. Now she can look to start pulling the elbow down. She can access my knee, and she can trap me in a half guard. Okay? So the second my foot hits the floor, my only goal in mind is to connect my knee to my partner's armpit. So 1, 2. So that my elbow and knee join together, and my knee comes right up to my partner's armpit. Okay? The second I do that, I take my foot and I mold my toes around my partner's hip, like so. So now I can use it as a post on my partner's hip to elongate her body and make it harder for my partner to move. Okay? So the second I feel my foot come down, 1, 2. So now I have a knee-elbow connection. I have my knee in my partner's armpit. And now when she goes to give a strong bridge, all of my weight is again up on my forehead, not over my partner's hips. Okay? Her elbow is isolated over her shoulder line. So when she goes to pinch my elbow down and goes to bridge me over, it's a very difficult thing to do. Okay? And from here, you just feel like you're in total control. You have isolated, both your partner's arms isolated. And now when she goes to freak out and move around, recover, trap me in half guard, it's just impossible. Okay? That's the finishing position we want to look to get to. All right, just basic mounting from the top-headed arm and side control. My partner's goal is to trap my leg in half guard. Okay? We come in, we lean the weight forwards, and we get shin to my partner's hips. When she goes to start bridging and moving around from here, I feel no off balances. My knee comes down, and now from here, I focus on elevating the elbow.